Okay, hi. Sorry that I put this off for a while, but I'm going to show you how to do the beginning part of the orange. Oh, where's my camera? Over here. So I'm going to walk through however much I can do in 10 minutes. Essentially, what happens in this first round is you're going to make a big slip knot. So normally how I make a slip knot is you hold, so this is called the working end, this long end that's connected to the rest of the scheme, and then this is the short end. And so what I do is I put the short end at the bottom and I'll wrap the working end around my fingers and then come around and make an X. So, and then I'll come around and hold this side of my pinky. So right here, I'm here, cross over to the left, hold up my pinky, and so on top I have two parallel lines, not parallel, and then I have an X on this side. And so then I take my hook and then I'll go onto this side and I'll go under, over, and then yank this through. So we have our X on this side, we have our lines on this side, under, over, yank, and then my hook is facing down right now. So what I'm going to do is twist my hand over like this to twist it upwards. And then I pull it up a little bit. I should do it on a different hook because you also don't have handles. Twist, pull up like this. And so now we're here. And so now this is twisted. Now I pinch where it twists over and where it connects with the rest of the circle. And then I take my fingers out. And so now you should have what looks like a loop. And then this will be able to move freely. And so the key to a magic ring is keeping tension where it connects. So where it crosses right here and hits the circle. So you want to hold down that point and then you're going to chain. And that consists, so here's your loop. You're going to take your hook, and right now my loop is in front of my yarn. And so I push my hook back into my yarn, up behind it. And so now my yarn is looping over my hook, and then I angle my hook downwards. So if I turn this way, I don't know how clear it is. You can see that there's like a reverse teardrop right here. Like the teardrop is facing that way. And so I want to angle my hook to go fit through the teardrop like that. So that's a chain. And to tighten it, you can hold tension right here where it meets the circle, and then you can just alternate tugging. You don't hold it right on the cross, you hold it right underneath it, and you can alternate tugging up and down while keeping tension on your working yarn like this, but it's not necessary. Okay, so that's how you make a magic ring. Okay, so caution, when you're doing your magic ring, you can expand it and make it smaller. So we end up pulling it to make it small, to make this hole, and that's by holding on the rest of your ring and pulling on the short end. So you can make it shorter. You can also make it bigger again by pulling it, but you don't want to pull it too big because then this can fall out and then you lose your ability to close it. So be careful of that. Okay, so now here's a way that my friend taught me how to hold yarn and keep tension, because in crochet, one of the most important things is tension. So what she does, so here's your working end. This is the long end and this is the short end. So you'll hold your short end, you'll go loop around your pinky like this. Wait, hold on. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we're here, we loop around our pinky from the front and then behind our pointer. So we're here, you start in front of your pinky, loop it behind it, and then come up and go behind your pointer finger. And so now you can hold your loops with your thumb and your middle finger, and then you're keeping tension with your pointer finger. So I don't know if you can see it, but I'm trying to pull up that way so that there's tension. Okay, so now, oh my god, it's 5 minutes already. Okay, so now we're gonna do 6 single crochet. I should write this down. So round 1, 6 single crochet. So what a single crochet is where you go into, normally you do it into a stitch, which I'll show you in the next round, but for right now in the magic ring, you'll take the point of your hook, tilt down, go under the magic ring. It's gonna look kind of weird. And then you're going to yarn over. So you're gonna push your hook back behind your yarn, go up, grab it so it's inside the hook, and then you're gonna tilt it back. I take my entire hand, tilt it back through the magic circle, and then pull it up, and you should have 2 loops. One is your original loop, and one is the working yarn. And so now that you have 2 loops, I recommend taking your middle finger and your thumb and holding right where it crosses on the circle. That way it doesn't move on you like this. So try to tilt your hook so that they're as close as possible. And then you can hold it at the base of the stitch, and then you're going to yarn over again. And so again, you go back into the yarn, you push up, and then tilt it so that the top of your hook is facing downwards. So, and then you can pull down with your thumb and your middle finger so that there's tension, and then your hook has a place to go through. You're going to go through both loops on the hook. All right, and then so I don't know if y'all saw it, but my magic circle, it's supposed to have a twist in it. So this string is supposed to go under it again, and it came back up, and so that's why I said you gotta be careful with it. So if this happens to you and it's able to do this, and you don't see any loops anymore, you just take this and push it through so that it's got a little knot, and you can close it later. Okay, so that was 1 single crochet. We're gonna do 6 of those. So for me, making the magic circle a little smaller helps me hold it a little bit. So if you didn't see what I just did, I pulled the really short end and held right here, and it shrunk the loop a bit. Okay, so for the 2nd single crochet, we're gonna grab our loop. So that means going into the stitch, so into the magic circle, going behind our yarn, grabbing it. I should show it this way. Here. So we've grabbed our loop. We have 2 loops on the yarn, and now we're holding at the base of the stitch. And we have 2 loops. I've gotten them really close to each other by tilting it kind of backwards away from this. And then we pull up another loop. So that would be push back, pull up, and now you have your yarn on your hook. And then you'll pull it through while keeping tension on the base of the stitch with your thumb and your middle finger. Okay, and then we keep doing that. So that's 2. We have 4 more. Okay, so I'm gonna do it a little slow, but I'm gonna do it slowly, but I won't talk. So here. And if it starts kind of pushing from you up, because I know when I start to pull down, sometimes it makes the hole really big and then my stitch size isn't consistent, that's when you can just reset it. So if you don't like how it's turning out, you can always just take your hook out and pull the long end, and then it'll just pull out the stitch that you made until you have one loop sticking out, and that'll be your stitch reset. So that's your original loop. So over here. So that's, if you turn it, you can see how many stitches you've done. So you're gonna look for a V like this. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 more. Okay, so now we have 6. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so now that's the end of our round, and we want to close the magic ring. So what I like to do right beforehand is pull a big loop on our last stitch, which means just extending this loop, because you can always pull it back down, and then take my hook out. And now what you're gonna do, what I like to do, is hold the stitch that you just made, and then you're gonna take your short end and you're gonna pull it. You can be slow, but you gotta be firm. So you can't grip too tight on the stitch because then it won't move, or the magic circle won't move, but I'm gonna pull this. And it might warp around, that's okay. So now you can see it's gotten smaller, and it's gonna keep getting smaller. And I like to flip it so that the right side is up, and the right side normally means, or sorry, the wrong side. The wrong side normally means that when you look at it head on, you can't see the V's of the stitch. So this side you can't see them, and this side you can see them. They look like that. They're right here, but on this side you can't see them at all. Okay, so now I like having it this way, so the right side up. And so I'll hold it between my fingers like this, and I'll pull until there's basically no gap in between. And so now what we can do is start the next round. And so in order to do that, you're gonna pull your loop back. So, see, I got confused. So you pull the long end, and you're gonna shrink your loop back down to the size it was before. And then this is gonna be the hard part for y'all, because if you don't know how to recognize stitches, it's kind of Jover. So I'm gonna do my best to show you where the stitches are. I'm gonna use my other hook. Okay, so this hook has a pointy tip, so it'll be a little bit easier to see kind of where I'm going, I hope. So if you can't see this first stitch right here, the first V right here, then you could always just count backwards from where you are. So if you turn it like this, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you'll just turn it around and keep your thumb on it. And so now you can see this is your 6th V, and so that's where you want to start. So to put a stitch in, you have to go under both loops of the V. And so you're going to turn it on its side, and it's going to be really hard to see at first, but if you can't poke underneath it like this, then I sometimes recommend flipping my hook over and digging under this first loop and just coming up through the middle of the V like that. And once you do that, it makes it a little bit easier to get under the second one, and I normally use my nail to help me like that. If you still can't do it, I apologize, but I'll show you one more time. I'll try to get that back down. So pull up a big loop so that you have a lot of wiggle room, because if you try to do it while your hook is super close, it's very hard to maneuver. So I pull up a big loop, and then I flip my hook upside down, and I hook underneath the front loop, and then I use my nail to help it get underneath the back loop. So once I'm underneath the first 2 loops, then I pull my loop small again. I try to pull it as tight as I can. And so then we're gonna pull up our loop like we did before, except this time we're using an actual stitch instead of the magic circle. So we yarn over, so we push, hold your circle steady, push behind your working yarn, pull up. So now we have your starting loop, your stitch, and your new yarn on the hook. And then let's see if I could try to show you. There's not a lot of wiggle room in this stitch, so what I try to do is pull down as much as I can, or I try to tilt this as up as I can, if that makes sense. Because the bottom of the stitch is where your hook is going to be going through, and that's where you want to give it the most wiggle room. So I try to push up like this while I'm pulling backwards. So I push up and I pull backwards through. And if you lose it, like when you pull through, you do that, that's okay. You literally just restart. So under the V, yarn over, pull through the V, and then now you should have 2 loops on your hook, and one of them should be going through this stitch right here. Alright, so now we have our 2 loops on the hook. We yarn over and go through to finish the stitch. So that's the start of round 2. And if your magic circle starts coming open, you can just hold it 2 fingers and just pull. But we don't have to worry about that till later. So this is the first stitch of round 2. I'm gonna film a separate video for that because this is 16 minutes. Holy moly. But what I like to do is get a stitch marker. I currently don't have a stitch marker, so I'm gonna use this. Yeah. So if you leave your project in between stuff, then this is a good way so that it doesn't unravel on itself. But I will pick up later. Goodbye.